So my stepping off point for my project was reading Junkie by William S. Burroughs that talks about his experience in New York, becoming an addict and trying to recover from that experience. So it's his own personal testimony with not too much of an embellishment. Yes, so this all makes sense if you kind of look at the actor in this as the drug and the understudy as the addict who has, there's an interdependability between drugs and an addict, and also an actor and an understudy, where one only becomes real if they're seen in another person. So it's this idea that you give up yourself to become somebody else, and you're pursuing this drug or this person that you can never actually become fully. You'll never become the qualities that you think a drug gives you, and you'll never become an actor while you're an understudy. You're chasing this unobtainable dream. I think what's really interesting about this book, written in 1953, is that it kind of puts William Burroughs against this very grey backdrop where he's in need of an escape, and it's very easy to fall into the footsteps of trying to pursue drugs or trying to pursue an acting career that never leaves you 100% fulfilled, because you're pursuing something that's impossible to actually obtain. Yeah. Compelled by a story, we're here. Enter the house of the theatre and the understudy. You may know, or maybe you do not, I'm the understudy for the actor who lives here. Yes, there's a bit of jealousy that comes with waiting in the wings that you're meant to be soaring with when you're not the actual actor, but it is a fair and two-way partnership. There are a lot of lines in this scene, and a lot of lines in this drawing. Because I am the understudy, I haven't 100% learnt the lines, so I'm holding the script. Thank you for joining us at tonight's performance. I'm so glad you've come. The testing grounds are a little tricky to find, but that's part of the fun. We have 30 minutes before seat and bottom should be faced towards some kind of obscure reality, obscuring reality. Time will move at 3 times the speed. This will take what feels like 10 minutes instead of 30. Perhaps we'll see a glimpse of the actor in the building. But enough, how boring. As a preface, the actor is much more enigmatic and commanding a presence than I am, so I apologise that this tour is conducted by me and not them. Here we encounter an elevation of the house. You can see the tensile wiring here, a type of mast that's protecting what's beyond, and by a shake of the door handle, we're moving from your space into someone else's. Maybe this is a warning that you've met and agreed to know the truth of inhabitants that live there. Into mine and the actor's house, you will know us now on a new level, or many levels. There are actually 5 levels in this house as an approximate. You're seeing the most private of spaces, quite voyeuristic. The building is held together, like the Phillips Pavilion by Le Corbusier. A series of cables run around a steel frame, and it's in constant tension for most of the building, like any unhealthy relationship, really. Here's a little plan of the house. The understudy's abode is to the west, and mine is to the east. Anatomically, there's a theatre in the very heart of the building. Our house is 2 stories, as I've mentioned, 5 levels as an approximate. And I don't think there's a better director of people in space than architecture. I would design with only theatricality in mind if I were able to design. And lucky this house lets me do just that. Here, you're beginning to see our set for our domestic, our life set up for performance. Up this corridor is the stage, but let's veer to the left. In a play, the audience is in need of you, but you're not in need of them. An actor's only an actor when an audience is present. An understudy has no audience. There's a definition. Into our grand entrance, and there's a blur here. When spaces merge, roles merge. Here we mingle acting with our real lives. We're trying to keep a balance, but there is some seepage. You might see this with home offices, and excess cups of tea, and wet hair after the shower, and a dogger's distraction. or in a shop where the shopkeeper sits at a register in front of the lounge room with minds half wary of shoplifters and half wary of the weightlifter's back on the television as she lifts another 10 kilograms. The space changes as roles shift, and roles shift as space changes. It's a nice duality. The exit doors can be found because there is light around them illuminating them. If there is an emergency, please find the nearest exit. Perhaps we should move into the dining space. To improve our acting, my partner eats dinner mirroring me and I'm mirroring them. We look and copy each other. Perhaps it's verging on neurotic, but I think it would be difficult to differentiate ourselves after performing this exercise with every meal. So perhaps successfully narcissistic is a better description. The play tonight is about an understudy, so the actor did need my help. We walk through the corridor separating us. It's like we're two sides of the same coin with monetary value sitting in the middle, the audience. The space in the middle is where our minds jump from one to the other and ideas exchange. But for now, let's open these sliding doors up. Oh, here's the actor.
Hello, welcome to my performance. Sorry for being a little tardy. I don't think I need to introduce myself, but just to be polite. I'm the actor. You've met my understudy, obviously. And I'm sorry about her nervousness. This is quite an important spiel she's giving you. Anyway, but make yourselves at home. Let's share this tour, shall we, colleague?
The honour, certainly. Pardon my concern, but don't you have to prepare for tonight's performance?
Understudy, this will warm me up. Let's go. Oh, don't wait for post-show to start eating. Just eat now. I'm sorry, my understudy doesn't really understand the addiction of indulgence.
I always dreamed of a three-story organ. Here it is. It was playing on in the background.
Of course, that music was me. This is the understudy as half of the shell, but sometimes I sink to the bottom and need a release. So I do invade her space, and method acting can do that. I guess that's what music is for, the part of us that lives outside of time. And as my understudy said, it's quite difficult to tell us apart anyway, particularly with all this vocal training. The walls in this house are semi-permeable, so it's almost like she's this voice in my head. So me coming into her space doesn't matter. It's undetectable.
Quite the triple threat the actor is. Nobody tunes these things anymore, but it's a relic and fairly permanent.
Oh, what a flood of you have come in.
Let me expand the corridor and move this curtain.
I often have an artist trope come in, so everything in this house is designed to shift and expand to my needs.
The organ also came in through one entryway.
Aren't you happy, understudy, that I've made this tour more popular?
Yes, it's great how many faces there are.
The tour is popularised.
Your tour's popularised.
Word must have got out that I was here. Understudy, would you mind moving the other walls?
Under here is my space for watching the actor's performance. It's underneath the stage, but I can look up at the actor.
Hush, hush, understudy. Here's the main event. This tour boasts a viewing of my quarters, the actor's house. Now, the deal is I'm only willing for my space to be explored if it is me giving the tour. Audience, what do you think? Shall we?
Please don't respond. That was a rhetorical statement.
I don't know whether you've noticed, but the understudy's bedroom was actually on the stage, and now we've started to move all these walls. So yes, the understudy's bedroom is on the stage, but I guess the more important thing was because I'm more famous and I guess need a bit more privacy with all this attention I seem to have garnered, my private space is left intact, which has been really helpful. So thanks for the understudy for that. But anyway, that's just a side note. But as you can see, the couches here in my space, particularly in the semi-public library, face the actual stage. So in terms of popularity, they can become part of the seating arrangements. So I'm giving up some of my space as well. It's not just the understudy having to sacrifice. Anyway, but just watch as the understudy manoeuvres the furniture, the bookshelf in particular. I'm sorry, it's hard not to be a director when Your understudy is too almost yourself. It's like you're just moving yourself, really, but a step removed, like in acting, 1 degree of separation away from your character.
You've taken my job.
No, I'm just trying to help you. Just maybe watch how I do this and how I command the space. Perhaps you've noticed the space getting lighter. These are the northern windows on my side of the building. The poor understudy gets hardly any light. But me, luckily, I have low windows and high windows, so the cold air from below sweeps into the building and the hot air escapes through the windows above, so there's this natural ventilation cycle. Now, normally to get upstairs, the seats act as the first few steps, but we've rearranged them. So to get to the upper stories, we might need to help each other climb.
You said this space was out
No
of
matter,
bounds.
it's my special treat. I'll stay down here while you all head on up. Understudy, just go on up as part of the group and lead them around the platforms. Look down at me when you're ready. At this stage you will notice all that is left is a stage and me. Even the understudy is up there with you. This house is all stage with no room for an audience. This play was about an understudy. But how could it ever have been? It would always have been played by an actor. And you've been watching it all along. I'm that actor, and this was the show you actually came for. It's my stage for my living.